Revolutionary greetings, comrades. It's a Sunday, the 20th of November, 2022. It's our Red Sunday. We are discussing the upcoming 2023 elections in Zimbabwe, looking into the role of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. Questions have been asked whether the Zimbabwe Communist Party is going to participate in elections. We've discussed previously that the party cannot contest elections on its own. It has to contest an election with the class that it represents. We also want to further point out that the elections in Zimbabwe is not about the contest for state power. It is a contest for governance, who governs in Zimbabwe. Yes, we might begin the process of reforming the state, assuming who were to win the elections, but it is not a contest for state power. An election is about who should govern, because the state, as we defined before, is an organ of class rule. It advances the interests of the class that it represents. So winning an election, whoever will win an election, does not necessarily mean that they've won state power. It places you in a better position if you govern to contest for state power. We will clarify this clearly in the next video, but I want to submit that winning an election does not translate into winning state power. So it is not a contest for state power. It is a contest to govern, to say who is going to govern in Zimbabwe. Once you then win to govern, you continue with the process of contesting for state power, which I'm saying we will discuss in depth what we mean by contesting for state power. The Zimbabwe Communist Party at its Congress in 2019 adopted a constitution which has a clause that allows members of the Zimbabwe Communist Party to belong to other mass political formations. We expect that some of our comrades who are members of these political parties might be nominated or selected as council candidates, MP candidates, even presidential candidates. We are not very sure, but we are sure that some will be standing in as council candidates and MP candidates for the political parties that they belong to, because the Zimbabwe Communist Party allows dual membership, though it is a matter that is under discussion as we prepare for the second Congress of the party, whether we should stick to dual membership or there is need to review the issue of dual membership to an extent that we should then scrap it. But what is key, which we said in the Red October campaign, is that the communists must work in communities without necessarily raising our red flag. Must work with communities in finding solutions to societal problems. And we've emphasized that communists do not climb on a rooftop and proclaim that they are communists. Through our hard work in communities, it is the communities that might then nominate a communist or a member of the Zimbabwe Communist Party to any position to be their representative in their community. So it's important that we stress this point, because it is not about the Zimbabwe Communist Party imposing a candidate or saying, because I'm a member of a communist party, want you to stand in this ward or want you to stand in this particular constituency to represent the party. This is not our approach to an election. Our approach to an election is that a communist must emerge from the people, from the mass of the people, through their work in communities, that they get selected by the community. It is at that point that the comrade might say, by the way, I belong to the Zimbabwe Communist Party. Then the community will find a way of working that one around. But what is key is that as the Zimbabwe Communist Party, we should not be imposing candidates in communities. All of us, we live in communities. Our names must be raised by communities based on the work that we do. Because the problem of asking comrades to stand in wards and in constituencies as council or MP candidates is that you are running the risk of imposing a candidate in a community, a candidate who does not do practical work. We have the theory, and we say theory without practice is dead, if I were to put it that way. Because as communists, we must combine our theory with practical work in communities. As we work with communities, communities are going to raise our names. And some communities have already started raising names of some of our own leaders in the Zimbabwe Communist Party to say, we want you to stand for this position in the 2023 elections. This we accept because it is not us as the party that are raising names of some of our leaders. It is communities, and communities who are not members of the Zimbabwe Communist Party. It's important to clarify this. Communities, based on what they see us as leaders of the party doing in communities, not doing or not performing the task or the work as communists, but as part of the community. And then community members will then say, no, we think so and so should be our council candidate. We think so and so should be our MP candidate because we work with this person is our leader in a community. And the majority of the members of the community might not be aware of your political affiliation. That's how we are trained as communists. Because the task that we have is to develop cadres will be armed with the Marxist-Leninist theory. They combine that theory with the practical work in communities. And they will expect that the communists then should emerge, not on their own by imposing themselves, but communists must then be nominated by communities that they work with. Because if you are not from the mass of the people, you are an elitist who uses money to buy votes. There are many out there who are mobilizing resources, who are beginning to do all funny things, distributing whatever they want to distribute in the name of them being noticed by communities so that they are presented as candidates, either council or parliamentary candidates in 2023. This is not the culture of communists. The culture of a communist is to work with the communities in resolving societal problems without expecting to be rewarded. I should not go to a community. As we work on documentation, some of us that are in South Africa, when we assist the comrades, migrant workers from all over Africa, we assist the migrant workers in the work that we do in communities. We do not expect to be paid or we do not expect to be rewarded for the work that we do. But we should not be surprised when our names are then mentioned for possible leadership positions. It is based on the work that we do with communities, in this case migrant communities, on the issue of documentation. It is communists working with communities who should deal with the issue of abuse of women in our communities. We recorded a video talking about leading or creating a women's movement that should focus on ensuring that we protect our girl child. So when we do this, we should not be doing it so that we should at some point be rewarded. But we're faced with a serious crisis in communities where women are abused. In the next video, we'll be focusing on public transporters, buses, those that do cross-border traveling, that are abusing women at the border. We're told that some women have been raped by bus conductors. We need an organization that deals with these issues so that young women, married women, when they cross the border, they are not sexually abused by conductors, bus conductors, as we are being told now. So when we want to find a solution to this, it requires us to work with communities that in the main are doing cross-border trade and find a solution to this problem without expecting us to be rewarded. It is then when communities then begin to raise our names for possible leadership positions, whether as councillors, as MPs and so forth, we should not be surprised. That's how as communists should approach the question of an election. That every communist must be actively involved in community work. We do not want any member of the Zimbabwe Communist Party to be buying votes so that they will then be elected as a councillor, where we are going to then begin a program to say 2023 is coming, I want to be a council candidate or an MP candidate. You begin to build your teams, begin to fund some projects in the name of wanting yourself to be elected. No. We must work in communities. There's the issue of cleaning up our cities. Harare is dirty, Hillbrow is dirty, Bulawayo is dirty, all our major cities are dirty. It is us communists not raising our red flag, but we should be able to mobilize communities on cleanup campaigns, because we must live in a clean environment. So when we mobilize a community, say in Hillbrow or in Mbare or in Mtare or in Bulawayo, to make it our task to clean our cities, to collect litter, to ensure that no one throws a banana thing in the streets, or no one just throws papers, plastics in the streets, and we make it our task that we clean. Mobilize communities so that all of us will live in clean cities, in clean communities. When we do this work without expecting to be rewarded, because we work with communities, it is then that communities will begin to say, we want so and so to be our council candidate in Ward 17 in Bulawayo, or in Ward 13 in Chitungweza, or in Harare, in Ward 4 in Mtare, because this comrade works with the communities to resolve societal problems. That's the attitude of a communist to an election. As we said, an election is not about contesting state power. It is about governance. And I've said we'll discuss in detail in the next video what we mean by contesting for state power. So the 2023 elections, it's about governance. And the people want a clean drinking water. It's us communists working with communities without raising our red flag that we must be able to mobilize communities to say, let us contribute and drill a borehole to provide clean drinking water to communities. Let us mobilize working with communities. All of us, as other communities are doing, contributing whether 100 rand a month, and they build a clinic in a rural area so that people do not travel kilometers to seek healthcare facility. It should be us working with communities that mobilize for the construction of a school so that children do not travel 10 kilometers to a classroom. It is us who should ensure that rural schools have access to this to the syllabus. I remember in my school, we were analyzing for 2 years grade 7 results. Then we sent a team to say, no man, what is happening? Go to the school and talk to the teachers. Why our children in our Zimbabwe primary school failing? It was then the team reported to us to say, there's no syllabus in the school syllabus. So we had to put together monies, we bought the school syllabus. These are the things that we should be doing as communities, working in communities to ensure that we build safe communities. We are part of in communities in the developmental agenda in a community. We are the people that are working in communities in our irrigation schemes so that there's food security in the country. We should be involved in introducing the new farming method in communities that will assist the villagers to have a good harvest. This is the work that the communists must be doing in communities. We should not be working with communities to say, I'm working with communities because I want to be elected. No. In any case, the community might not nominate your name. And you should not be offended, because the aim is not to work with the community and be elected to a position. But the aim is to work with the communities to find solutions so that all of us feel safe in our communities. We have access to food. Our kids have access to education. We have access to clean water. We have access to energy. This is what communists must do. Then if our names, as is the case now, start being raised for possible leadership contest to say, no, we want you to stand as a council candidate, we want you to stand as a parliamentary candidate, we should not be surprised. So this is the approach of the Zimbabwe Communist Party in terms of issues of governance. In our understanding, governance starts at a local level, and we must work with the communities in finding solutions. When we are then sent to a council chambers or the National Assembly, it becomes a bonus. And when we go there as a true representative of the people, because we must emerge from the mass of the people. A communist who's armed with Marxist-Leninist theory must combine that theory with the practical work. It is useless to tell us that, no, I've read all Marxist literature, and yours is simple to debate on social media without doing practical work. So all of us must be involved in practical work. And the question we must ask ourselves is, I as a member of the Zimbabwe Communist Party, and yourself as a member of the Zimbabwe Communist Party, a member of the South African Communist Party, a member of the Communist Party of Swaziland, a member of the Communist Party of Kenya, a member of the Communist Party of Lesotho, what practical work, not the party that you belong to, but yourself, what practical work do you do in communities? That's the question that we should be asking ourselves. We will, in the next video, discuss what we mean by contesting for state power. But as I said, the elections in 2023 in Zimbabwe, the elections in 2024 in South Africa is not about the contest for state power. I always hear comrades at the SICP Congress singing, we want state power, when they are basically saying this SICP should contest an election. Then they say it's state power. It is not. We are not contesting state power through a bourgeoisie election. But let's have this engagement. Please write your comments in the comment section. Like this video. Kindly subscribe to this YouTube channel. Otherwise, I'm Amandla Comrades.